Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we bring you information about exciting things that are happening in our community, and sometimes those things are just simply informative. We have one of those opportunities today to talk to a representative of an organization that we featured on the broadcast from time to time. That organization is called AshaKiran, which stands for Array of Hope. And they provide culturally sensitive programs to foreign-born citizens and individuals right here in the Madison County community. Today, to talk to us specifically about language access and some of the other challenges related to language disabilities is Julia Ott. She is a language access advocate for AshaKiran. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much, Kenny.
So I said a little bit about what AshaKiran is, but I should first of all say to you, welcome aboard. I know this is a new responsibility for you. How's it been going for you so far?
Actually, it's a pleasure working for AshaKiran. I enjoy every day of it, and I'm very passionate about my work. I'm a foreign-born myself, so every day I'm happy to serve this foreign-born community.
Yeah, and AshaKiran does that so well. I mean, they're so invested in so many different aspects of the community, and I can really tell you for a fact, for the last 3.5 years since I've been working as Multicultural Affairs Officer for the city, I've seen AshaKiran show up on the scene to so many different activities that are making a difference in people's lives. So this is just one more opportunity, I know, to express my appreciation for who AshaKiran is, the work that they do, and affirm them as a very valuable asset of our community. So I'm always delighted to share on this broadcast about AshaKiran. So talk a little bit about this whole notion of language disabilities and the challenges that are presented that AshaKiran is specifically interested in addressing.
I started working for AshaKiran with the help of the Alabama Coalition for Developmental Disabilities, and I work in the field of developmental disabilities in the foreign-born communities. Very little is known about foreign-borns with the developmental disabilities. There are statistics, but they never portray developmental disabilities and foreign-borns. So
some of the human stories behind that, I'm sure. You know, you can see labels and titles sometimes and speculate about certain things, but we're talking about people. We're talking about human beings, flesh and blood, not just statistics. We're talking about people who are impacted by these things on a regular basis.
That's correct. We have about 20% of all Americans have developmental disabilities, but very little is known about foreign-borns from these communities. So what AshaKiran does is we collect research data, we compile information, we put in together a resource manual to list all the organizations that provide services for developmental disabilities. We try to find culturally sensitive services for those individuals.
You said a couple of important things there I wanted to kind of piggyback on and ask you to maybe talk a little bit more about. First of all, you talked about the whole notion of people not really always knowing or understanding what developmental disabilities are. So give me a short rundown, not of every single one per se, but just a sense of, for those that are listening and watching today, what kinds of disabilities are we talking about?
Examples for developmental disabilities are autism spectrum disorder.
Which is extremely common today.
Yes, it is. Learning impairments, it's Rett syndrome, it's cerebral palsy, it is Down syndrome. So there's a lot of disabilities that are under the roof of developmental disabilities.
And you said 20% of the population, yes. And the population of foreign-born individuals, so much more is not known. I imagine because of maybe some of the cultural differences, some of the language differences, and some of those other kinds of challenges?
Very little is known, but one thing we do know is that the foreign-borns have less access to health services for varying reasons. Some simply do not know that services are out there or how to access them. So this is where AshaKiran comes in and tries to bridge this gap, provide services to find therapy, screenings, and treatment for those foreign-borns with a developmental disability.
Yeah, and every resource that you can connect somebody with in the community, of course, makes that person a much better person. It makes them a more whole person, makes them a more effective person, because now that person is able to fill in the gaps for some areas of their life that are experiencing deficiencies. And that's got to be a huge source of gratification for AshaKiran
It is.
to be a bridge between those individuals who are having such challenges and then that population of individuals.
Right. This is correct.
Yeah. You also said something that I thought was very interesting, just in terms of how you work towards expanding the network of information so that you can actually connect people to various resources. And that's one of the ongoing narratives that I find in my community, this community. People don't always know where things are, but at the same time, we are one of the most resourceful communities on the planet. I mean,
Agreed.
there are answers for everything for the most part. And I think that people who have challenges and issues and disabilities and circumstances can usually find some answers to at least making some headway towards getting beyond where they are right now. Really, a lot of it has to do with, though, finding out who those resources are. And that's what you're saying AshaKiran is engaged in, building a database, I imagine, and connecting and building relationships with people.
Yes, we talk to service providers. We find out what problems and barriers are out there. We try to eliminate those barriers. We tried mostly to provide them with information about the services, about cultural sensitive services. It's sometimes very important to find the right language to diagnose a person in, or to make sure you take every cultural background information into consideration while diagnosing and treating an individual.
Yeah. Are you finding a lot of success? Are you optimistic that the work that's being done right now is actually yielding the kind of benefits that you need?
I think we have to work a little harder on reaching the foreign-born communities and raising awareness for this issue. So we should talk about this. We should try and bring this information in these communities.
Yeah, I would imagine, sometimes when you're starting to do something new, but it also has the potential to do something very meaningful to people, that there are a lot of questions out there. And I heard you just say something about awareness. That's a big part of what you do, because I know AshaKiran is engaged in not just the service provision, but also the awareness piece, because they do some amazing conferences and seminars and workshops throughout the year that actually focus on members of foreign-born communities, and helps to shed some light on some of the unique challenges and some of the unique ways in which things are experienced. So this is a very important service that AshaKiran is providing to our community. And I'm sure that there are, as always, opportunities for people to become involved, whether that's maybe getting a newsletter or just calling to ask information. That is something you want people to do, reach out to you, right? At the same time that you're reaching out to them.
Our biggest asset are our volunteers. We have 36 languages and counting. We have volunteer interpreters and translators, and we want to recruit new ones every day. We always need volunteers. We have some great events going on. You could connect with us on our Facebook page. You could subscribe to the events there to not miss any of our great things we're planning and coming up with. You also subscribe to the Shivani newsletter on our webpage.
And it's very comprehensive. I know I get the email every month, and it's a community announcements page, and I just go down the page and down the page and down the page, and I'm thinking, there is a lot of stuff going on in this community. And as you said before, a lot of people don't always know about it, but it's really just a click maybe, because I share the page, I post it on my social media sites, I try to let people know it's out there and available. And so if people would just try to find the information, we know that you're pulling the hard, heavy labor on the process of gathering the information. We just need people to start really connecting to the information. So you have, as you said, lots of different things going on. Your hands are in lots of different things around the community. As I said before, AshaKiran focuses on foreign-born populations, individuals who are sometimes transitional in the community, but come from the international community. I also know that there are, in addition to the major annual event that celebrates AshaKiran, and just had a big celebration this past year, the big 10th anniversary, which I had a chance to be a part of. It was just a huge celebration. It's always very satisfying to kind of sit back and embrace the appreciation that's shown for an organization. But the other thing that it shows me is that there's still a lot of work to do. And I know that with the leadership of AshaKiran, especially with Bhavani Kakani, who's a very good friend and somebody I look up to, is one of my major sheroes in life because of the work that she does and the passion that she shares for making people's lives better. You do recognize there's so much more work to do. And I just wonder, how do you keep from becoming overwhelmed with the scope of work that has to be done? Again, knowing you got great volunteers that make it happen, but coming from a social services background, there are these points I know where you feel fatigue or overwhelmed or the challenge looks so enormous, but how do you somehow push through that?
I think all of us, we're really happy to work for AshaKiran. And every day we have a new inspiration, a new case, a new story, a new input. Our director, Mrs. Bhavani Kakani, she's amazing. She is such an inspiration to all of us. So actually, it's fun working for AshaKiran.
Yeah. And again, it can be fun because I've had fun situations, but they're very challenging situations. It's fun perhaps because you have an opportunity to work with people who really enjoy what they do. And I know that the members of AshaKiran do. It's like a little community. It's like a family whenever I'm around individuals who are part of AshaKiran. But then you look around in life, and I know AshaKiran deals a lot with domestic violence, for example. And when you experience just one case of a person who has been the victim of domestic violence, it can be physically, emotionally, spiritually overwhelming for a person. And I know that even people working in happy environments have to be able to draw from the source in order to recharge yourself and re-energize yourself. And so I know that a lot of that internal kind of thing goes on, and that's a good thing that happens. And I know one of those things that AshaKiran does is it partners with other groups. You got a big health fair that you did recently, and that health fair, of course, was a partnership between multiple organizations, and you came together, you made that health fair successful, and that's the kind of thing that happens in the process of working in the community. Isn't that right?
Right. We have the 16th.
Yeah, so it happened. It already, the health fair passed, and we just want to say that was a great event.
Yes, it was. It was very beneficial to all participants, and it was really good experience for all of us.
Yeah, great screenings. You have medical screenings. You have an opportunity for people to actually get access to health care who perhaps, as I suggested a moment ago, don't have access to those things. And I know AshaKiran is a big proponent of making those kinds of things happen, which is extremely important, extremely valuable. You could not do the kind of work that AshaKiran does without the passion that I think each of you shares for the work, because it is draining in so many ways, because the needs are so great and the resources sometimes seem so limited. And that, unfortunately for nonprofits, is a story so many times. You're sitting around a table. I've been there before. I look at some of the profit sharing opportunities that some companies have, and I look at some of the balance sheets for some companies that have made record profits. And I think about all those years I worked in a social service agency, and we're sitting around the table not talking about profits. We're talking about who's going to be here next year. We're going to talk about what services are we going to cut. We're talking about streamlining things and trimming the budget. It's a different kind of experience, but the one thing that I found consistently over the years, and that's been over 25 years ago now when I began in this process, that the people that are there really want to be there, that they really care about being there, that they're really passionate about the work that they do. And I think that that is the most significant thing about agencies like AshaKiran, the fact that the heart of the people lies at the center of the work. And I know you've been sharing that in many things you've said today, and I think that is extremely commendable and why we need this agency in our community.
Thank you, yes.
How do people connect with AshaKiran? If somebody has a need, they have an interest, they want to partner with you, how would they go about finding you?
Yeah, we have a phone line. It's a 24/7 crisis line. You can just call up and connect if you have an issue or some problems we can assist you with. And so I encourage anyone to please call.
Yeah, and we'll put that on the screen, www.ashakiranonline.org. I want to make sure we get the right
AshaKiranonline.org, that's correct.
Don't put them on com because they won't find that, but want to make sure they get in the right spot. And when people do that, they can get all of that great information. We also know you got one final event that's coming up, and that event is a human chain that actually happens year after year. AshaKiran spearheads that. And that's an opportunity for people to do what?
Right, we come together as a human chain statewide in Alabama, and it's the Domestic Violence Awareness Month in October, so we all come together and we'll build one human chain throughout the state of Alabama.
Yeah, and that chain symbolizes the fact that there are people who have come together on the issue of domestic violence who are saying no more, let's stop it. We have no tolerance for it. We will consecrate it. You come together, I know, with law enforcement officials, you come together with elected officials, you come together with other organizations that are all vested in this process. And I think that's just a wonderful symbolic way to say that, our community will not stand for this. And of course, AshaKiran is now leading out throughout the state with this initiative, which is exciting and I think shows how you have expanded your reach throughout the state of Alabama, which is very, very exciting, by the way. And another reason why we just love and appreciate the work that you're doing. Julia Ott is a language access advocate for AshaKiran. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Kenny, for having us.
All right, and we want to invite you to be a part of AshaKiran's experience, meaning that you can check out the website that we're showing you right now. That's AshaKiranOnline.org, and you can get all the information about the organization that you need. It really is a great organization, folks, doing some very, very meaningful and important things for our community. We hope that you'll definitely take advantage of that. We also hope that you will like our Facebook page, which is Impact with Kenny Anderson on Facebook. And you can see a video of the show that you've watched today, as well as behind-the-scenes images of what goes on after the camera stopped rolling. We're thankful that you've taken this time to share with us today, and we hope that you'll join us for our next edition of Impact. In the meantime, have a great day.